Knock, knock. Who's there? Now, someone has to answer this riddle for me. I have to catch my breath because I'm still a little shaken. Okay, let me set the scene. Today is April 4th, 2018. This event began about 11:20 p.m. At 11:20 p.m., I was browsing YouTube on my laptop. I wasn't really looking into the screen, just kind of clicking, finding things to listen to, watch it for a while, then click and go to something else. Then all of a sudden, this was sudden, my head started hurting. Like, it was just boom, a sudden onset. And so I was like, oh, shoot. I was like, I ate those potato chips about an hour ago, and oh my goodness, I got a headache. You know, I'm thinking it's to ran my blood pressure up, but I know my blood pressure's fine. I know everything's fine. So I go into my hall cabinet and find my Advil. And so I take a couple of Advil and I come sit on the bed, drink the water, and the headache is still like pouring. It was pouring in. So I'm like, oh my, oh no, I didn't have any water. I did not. I drank, I went into the restroom and just got the water out the faucet because the headache came on so suddenly. So I drank a little water, you know, just a little handful to get the Advil down. And I came back to sit on the bed. And so I'm like, oh my, the headache is pouring in. And so I'm like, it's got to be those potato chips. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go downstairs. I'm rushing. I'm still shaking up, you guys, ladies and gentlemen. It's now 12:30 when I'm making this video. So about an hour and 10 minutes has passed since the onset of this event. So, and I'll explain why I'm doing a video in the dark in a moment. So I'm like, I'm sitting on the bed and I'm trying to get myself together. The headache is pouring in, and then all of a sudden my eyes start, the best way I can describe it, I don't want to describe it like this too early, but I'll just equate it to being like dizzy or focus. My focus was off, but it was a little more extreme than that. I'll come back to that, the vision distortions in a minute. So I'm like, oh my God. I was like, let me go down here and get some water. So I go downstairs and I flick the light on in my kitchen. It's one of those old dumb energy saving light bulbs. So it started off so dull. So I got this vision distortion taking place. I'm waiting for the light to warm up, but while I'm waiting for the light to warm up, I'm having this visual distortion, and I'm like, oh man. So I'm thinking like, am I about to pass out? Because the truth of the matter, other than the onset of the headache that was pouring in, physically I felt fine. So I'm mentally just kind of going over my whole body, like what's, going on. So I'm getting concerned, like, okay, do I call the EMS? What, what? And so the light is warming up. I'm in the kitchen, got this visual distortion. I can even see while in the maybe dim light bulb, the energy savers that warm up. So I'm standing there, I'm holding on to the sink, like I don't want to pass out, but it was a sense of, how can I say it, passing out. You can feel it coming on. So it was short of that feeling of lightheadedness. It wasn't lightheadedness. It was this borderline thing. It was like, again, this distortion in vision and this headache pouring in. So I never had these sensations before, so I'm kind of confused. I'm puzzled. I'm mentally evaluating myself. I got my hand on the sink in case I'm about to pass out. When the light warms up, I go ahead and I get the water. And then the visual distortion is increasing. It's increasing. And all I see are these waves, 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 waves. I'll come back to that. And I'll explain why I'm doing this video in the dark in a moment. So now I'm kind of starting to get a little upset. So I turn off the kitchen light and I make my way back upstairs to my bedroom. By the time I get to my bedroom, I'm like, oh my, now my bedroom light is on. So it's hot, right? You know, and the waves, they're just waves, waves. I hope you all kind of see my hands. The waves are all over the place, except for directly in front of me. They're like in my peripheral, waves, waves, waves. And so I'm like, I'm trying to breathe, and I'm still like mentally searching myself, like what's going on, you know? So I'm thinking aneurysm, stroke, my blood pressure ran up from eating the chips, but I was okay the other day, but you know, the body is a funny thing. And so I'm like, my heart, I don't feel my heart racing or acting funny, or I don't feel anything wrong, just this headache pouring in, and the visual distortion. So I'm like, okay. So I call my daughter. I said, hey. And so she comes out of her room and she comes around the corner. She said, why do you keep calling me? No, she said, why are you calling me like that? Because I was disturbing her and watching her movie. I said, hey, I think I don't feel good. And so she's just stepping over into my bedroom. I said, I think I don't feel good. You may have to call emergency. I said, but just grab me the fan right now. Just grab me the fan. While I'm saying that to her, I'm leaning back, letting my window up so I can get some air. Because the waves, I can see them full-fledged, like this, the whole outer space around me. I can see the waves just flowing in. And I'm like, oh. So I realized that I'm starting to panic. So I'm just kind of trying to breathe, like calm down, whatever it is what it is. That's what I'm trying to get. It is what it is. Not and jump so far ahead, but what I mean by jump so far ahead, as she comes from her room, turns the corner, and steps over the threshold into my room, she grabs her head like, ah. She's like, God, she's like, that's what she said. Why are you calling me? I got a headache. And so I look up at her, and I was like, you got a headache? I said, and so I'm trying to breathe and stay calm because I'm starting to panic now because, again, the headache is pouring in. I can see these waves, and so I'm trying to close my eyes. I let the window up. I'm trying to get some air. She come in, grabbing her head, just holding it down like, my head just started hurting. I said, oh, my. I said, Pearl, that's my daughter. And so at the same time, after she said her head was hurting, I immediately went to shut down on the laptop, unplugged it, put it away from me. I told her to turn off the light, and so she turned off the light. She went and got me the fan. I'm trying to stay calm because, like I said, these waves is flooding in. And so I told her, I said, hey, I think you need to turn off all the lights, bathroom light, turn off any electronic devices you have. I said, because I was like, what are you doing? She's like, watching a movie. I said, well, turn it off. Just turn it off. So since that time, for the most part, I've been sitting in the dark. So I'm on my bed, and I turn and I lay on my stomach. I position my pillows where I can have my face to the window for air. And I'm also like watching my animals. They're not acting weird. I believe in watching the animals because they're supposed to be highly sensitive. I'm watching them. They're not acting weird or anything. They're actually just staring at me. And so I'm like, my daughter, she's gone back in the room. I said, now, if you hear me, if I holler, I said, even if you hear me murmuring, I need you to call EMS. Don't even think about it. Just call EMS because something ain't right. And so I'm laying across the bed with my face to the window, just trying to breathe and calm down. The headache that was pouring in, it began to settle down. So I'm like, whew, okay, that's better. And so I'm telling myself, you got to calm down because you're getting overly excited, and whatever's happening is going to make it worse. So I'm like, okay, after a while, now the onset happened at 11:20. When I tell you folks that I was sitting here on my laptop, just finding videos to listen to, half looking at it, kind of preparing for bed and stuff like that, when that onset came on, when the headache started pouring in. By 11:30, the waves was flooding, and I mean, I could literally see them out of my, not so much my direct vision was distorted, but it was flat. But my peripheral vision was picking up all of these waves in my environment. Waves, 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 waves. So I'm gonna stop. No, I think I should finish with the story because I want to add something else. So I'm suspicious. So after that, I'm laying across the bed. I was like, okay, check to see if I see the waves, that I had been seeing in the environment. So I get up, I turn my bedroom light on. The bulb I have in my bedroom is not one of those doggone energy saving light bulbs that take a minute to warm up. So, I turn the light on and it's on. And there are still waves in the air, but they're not as intense or and condensed as they were. It was like this, just a rough waters waves coming. Now it's a little more mild and waved. The first ones was like they was on top of each other, like the waves were folded on top of each other really tight. Now it was more like little cascades, light and soft. First one was really, really concentrated. So when I turned the light on and saw that the waves were still pouring in, but they were settling down, I was like, okay. I just flicked the light back off because it was the visual distortion itself was very disturbing. So I was like, I'm gonna go get this candle. This candle you see right here. And I was like, I got the candle for two reasons. One is just for a light source because I had every single light out. And two, to see if this candle would show the waves or pick up on the waves or with a vibration or whatever was happening. Before I go into what else I want to talk about, relative to the weather, is that the waves that I was seeing is best described like when something is hot. When it gets really hot, you can see the heat waves that radiate from it. So the waves were something like that. The visual distortion was almost like I ain't never been blind, so I know this is going to sound funny, but it was like being blind. You see blind people, they usually look straight ahead. If they don't use their other four senses to sense that there's something in their presence and causing them to look, left or right, up or down, then they'll look straight ahead because, the light is not able to enter their eyes for whatever the medical reason is. And so they don't have to blink. They just look straight ahead. So that's where I found myself when the waves were coming in, especially when they were coming in intense and heavy. So imagine just heat waves all over my space. And I'm looking straight ahead. And so that part of the surface is basically flat, but I'm blind to whatever is creating the waves. I can see my environment is somewhat distorted, but the source of those waves is invisible to me. However, the waves were more clear and defined from my peripheral vision. Then I could see them. And like I said, it looked like heat waves, intense heat waves, real intense heat waves. So, as mentioned, I cut the lights off, cut the computer off, put that up, unplugged it, and had it continued. It stopped. It slowed down. I could tell it was slowing down. I settled myself down, and then over some time, after laying across the bed, I could tell it was slowing down. Every 5 minutes, I would get up and turn the lights on, and I would see the waves were dissipating. Had they continued, I would have went through the house and unplugged everything, including the Wi-Fi, internet, and anything else, the refrigerator, everything. But okay, it decided. So I want to stop there and talk about what has been taking place in the last 3 days. I had a dream. Tell you about this dream. It's very, very brief, real brief. Uh, I was at my mom's house. I share here on YouTube. My mom's been deceased since 1999. This was the house that I grew up in. The house is now demolished and gone. It's just a lot. In my dream, I'm back at this house. It's me, and I think it was some other people. I want to say one of them was one of my children, older children, but I'm not sure. But I just remember them going outside saying, "Look at this, look at this." And so I'm like, what are they doing outside? And so I go outside and I go down, I go off the porch. Oh, it's one of those high porches, with the awning and trees all in front. So you have to go off the porch in order to view the street, the sky, everything, because it's blocked by trees. And so I come down and everybody's just looking up at the sky. You know how they show people looking up at the sky in a, what do you call it, like space invasion movie. So everybody looking at the sky, not only my children, but other people on the block. And the block is like it was when I grew up as a little girl. So it's absolutely beautiful. So I come down off of the porch and I look up where they're looking up at. And what do I see? I see this enormous, I see enormous snowflakes. And when I say enormous, I'm talking about the radius of a house, a full 2-story house, the radius. And there were many, like when it snows, it's not just one flake, it's many. It was many snowflakes, and the radius was as large as a 2-story house. What do I mean by that? To make sure I'm making it clear that if one of those snowflakes were to fall on the house, it would lay over it like a drape. It would totally drape it and cover it. So all of these snowflakes are falling slowly from the sky. And so we're looking up at them. From my perspective, I'm looking up at this, at least I focus in on one of those mini snowflakes, and the snowflakes had their individual crystal pattern. And so I'm like, oh, wow. I say they really do have their own pattern. I say, wow, that's beautiful. And it was falling so soft and so innocent, but it was so enormous, beautiful. And I failed to mention that it was like early summer or early spring. It was crystal clear blue skies, and they just started falling, obviously, out of nowhere. It was not the time of season for them to be falling. And we definitely know that snowflakes don't come in that size, with that in that radius. We're talking about radius now. And so what do I bring up this dream for? It is because in that dream, all of a sudden, I had this moment of clarity in my dream. This was the completion of the thought that I had in my sleep in that dream. As I am looking up and, of course, I'm flabbergasted by these enormous snowflakes that I guess you could say were disc shaped from the perspective in which we were looking up at them. Looking at their individual crystallized pattern, and them falling so softly and so delicate as if they were innocent out of a crystal blue sky, layer after layer of them, but none of them had hit the ground. The realization I got, I was like, wow, in my dream, this is my dream, It's real. It's real. It really happened. What happened? The Ice Age really happened. Hey, the story about Noah's Ark really happened. I don't know if it was Noah, but flooding, global flooding happened. And I thought that dream was so unique. It was so interesting, intriguing for multiple reasons. Why did my dream self relate those enormous snowflakes to the ice age? Again, I stated that if one of those snowflakes fell over a two-story house, a two-story, four-bedroom house, it would blanket the whole house. One snowflake from top to bottom, even along. And to have them all fall, all of what? All of the snowflakes that will fall during the course of a period will create like the Antarctic or the Icelands, or the Ice Age. And then the period would come for those snowflakes to melt. End of dream. Jojo was brief. But I brought it up for a reason. The next day, I live in Detroit, Michigan. The next day, let's see, that had to be maybe Monday. This is the Monday after Easter. That next day was so cold. I want to say, since Easter, the temperature has been it's been above freezing, 32, but I know it got to be below 40. It has been cold, and I could feel the moisture in the air. Oh, it's just been cold, like in your bones cold. Monday, it rained, and I think it was Monday. It rained, and it rained. I mean, it stormed. We even got thunder, booming thunder. I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, it was so turbulent that even though my daughters were in their own room, they came out and said, should we go in the basement? As a matter of fact, I was on my way out my room to go into my hall closet to get flashlights. Why? Because when the thunder thundered, it rumbled so loud, and it sounded like, check this out, it set at the southwest back of my home, like it was in the corner of the house, and it thundered and it shook the house. That's what brought us all out the room. Like, if it's gonna shake the house like this, it got to put the power out. It was scary, and so everybody was headed out their room to go in the basement, because it just sounded like it got closer and closer. It actually sounded like it was sitting on the house. Even the animals was going crazy. The cats, the dogs, everything. So we were quite concerned. Why do I bring up the direction from which the thunder sounded? It is because in my studies, one of those apocryphon books, dang it, I'm throwing my light out talking. It said that there's nothing that comes up in the West. So here on YouTube, I've shared multiple times that, some stuff that came up in the West. I talked about the wind blowing from the west before, but maybe it means up far as like the sun or the moon, and if something come up in the west, is bad. It's bad was what it was saying. Basically, it's bad. You can expect some real serious stuff if something come out the west. So that thunder storm came from the southwest, and it was again very turbulent. The next day, cold. I mean, it was cold. It was cold. It was so cold. And I mean, it was cold. It was unusually cold. It's supposed to be spring. It started snowing. Wait a minute. It did something. It was real cold. Then it had the thunderstorm. Then the next day, it started snowing. Yeah, it started snowing. That was today. And so it was snowing and snowing and snowing. I was like, well, I'm not going to worry about it because it got to be warm enough where it don't stick. But it was where I could see it blowing, and the wind was blowing from the west toward the east. Because it was enough snow accumulated on the ground or in the street where I'm watching the snow blow down our main avenue, which runs west to east. Something coming up in the west. Why do I bring up that direction once again? Because those waves that I just experienced about an hour and a half ago, they came from the west, straight up from the west. It was almost southwest, but it was more west than south. I'll say that. And that book in the Apocryphon, I don't know which one it was. It may be the story of Enoch when he traveled to the different levels of heaven. But it, excuse me, said don't nothing come up in the west. And if it does, it's trouble. It's bad. So, like I said, knock, knock. Who's there? What was that came through between 11:20 and midnight that had me so discombobulated that I started to panic? That same thing that when my daughter walked in my room, because my room faces the southwest corner as well. All of a sudden, suddenly, the headache, bow, just hit her. And she just had to kind of back up out of my room. You know, why do I bring that up? Why do I bring this up? Because that was crazy. Well, here on YouTube, it has been shared that an event would happen. I've talked about the event from the perspective of which I understood what I knew about an event. And that event is that divine is giving us, divine who God is giving us who humanity, the opportunity to try to correct ourselves because we done messed up. But at the same time, we have done so much we are at this crossroads. Now, when I address the event, that's the perspective I was coming from, that we have the opportunity to correct ourselves, but the majority of humanity is corrupt and or stuck in particular doctrines that are not true. And so we have a lot of hurdles to get over before we can reconcile anything. And I also talked about how this universe is, I'll just say, in cahoots with this earth and will come to defend her. I've also shared that this earth is really not vulnerable, but she is the little sister to other astrological planets. But I did not address the event from the context of, and what am I saying? That there are so many different versions of what the event is. And this one is not one that I really looked at because I don't look at it as a part of the event. And it is something that's also dealt with here on YouTube. And it is called they talk about it as solar flares. Solar flares. While I was laying across the bed just trying to calm down and get myself together after the experience I just had, that's what came across my mind. As I mentioned, the waves, I could see them. I could, looking straight forward, I could not see them. I could see a distortion in my environment, but I could still see it. It was something there, like I described, like a blind person. I could look straight through it. I'm looking dead at it in its face, whatever it was. I'm thinking solar flare. but I couldn't see it. But in my peripheral vision, I could see that the whole entire environment was full of, like I described, these intense heat wave, these intense concentrated heat waves that were causing me to have this headache. And all of that energy that was pouring in came from that western area, southish, little bit western direction. And in that book of prophet, it's like, don't nothing good come up from the west. So why am I making this video other than just being freaked out? It is because those solar flares, it had to be solar flares. Now, I go back to the event. I'm going to let y'all go. I just had to get this off my chest because this was an intense experience, and I don't deny nothing that I experienced. I'm a researcher and go over it for real because I'm going to get an understanding. But the event, they talked about a wave coming. The wave coming. And the wave was supposed to be, is anticipated to be a spiritual wave, the wave of divine upon humanity in order to help ascend and awaken and enlighten humanity. And I, in one of my videos, talked about when divine communicates with an individual, and I called that video channeling, and the sensation associated with it and how it is perceived by an individual, at least by myself. And I did another video about that too, trying to go more in detail. And I think it was talking about the event and hearing from God or whatever the case may be. But the experience I just had was nothing like I've ever experienced. Number one, if divine deems it necessary to communicate with any individual, in the past, it never came off as anything that would hurt me or anything in the environment. It was informative, I'll say that. Informative, inspiring, enlightening, those kind of things. This was not like that. This wave that just came through, I'm talking about the wave because the event talked about a wave. And I ain't trying to say what I experienced had nothing to do with the event and the wave associated with people are expecting or anticipating the waves to be relative to that event. I am talking about a wave that is from our universe or our galaxy, because something has happened out in space and it is coming our way. I've made other videos, not videos about weather anomalies or different anomalies in nature that have been happening and what I've witnessed. And so this is the same. So this wave was not God speaking to me or individual trying to enlighten us. No, it would be better for me to associate it with what they call those things, solar flares. And why do I say that? Because it was disruptive to my what are you going to call metabolic system, my physical system on a metabolic level. I could feel it inside me. I could feel it. I could see it, and it disrupted my vision. It distorted it. It made my head hurt. I began to literally panic. And so I'm trying to stay calm. I began to panic because I didn't know. Now, I'm sitting up here in this room searching my whole body. When I was in the kitchen, I'm searching my whole body. Like, because, I don't know how it feels. I've had the moments where I just suddenly got sick. And 1 minute I'm okay, and then boom, something has happened. And so I'm kind of panicking, like, because it's taking so long for boom it to happen, or boom for it to announce itself that I'm sick, that maybe my heart is bothering me, or my lungs is bothering me, or vessel, anything that can happen to the body is not announcing itself. I have this strange sensation. My vision is distorted. I got this headache pouring in, and the headache wasn't like a regular headache. That's why I say it was pouring in. It was a slow pouring in, as were the waves, excuse me, so smacking my lips, mouth, but I'm so excited about this because I usually try not to get too excited about anything, and I'm not talking about excited as in enthusiastic, excited and happy and anxious. No, not that kind of excited. I'm excited because that really freaked me out. It scared me. And anytime something scared me where I have a hard time stabilizing myself, it's something to it. It's something to it. And how the wave just kept coming and coming. And then as I would turn the light off and on, every 5 minutes to see if it was still there, because I started feeling better. A little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. I'm like, okay, stay near the window, just keep breathing, stay calm. And the last time I turned the lights on, the wave was moving very slow. It was very loose wave, and it was moving slow. It was nothing like when it first started, where the waves laid on top of each other and they were real tight and they were coming in, looked like the heat waves off of something after this thing got hot. And it's, well, I'm gonna let y'all go. But yeah, have you experienced anything like that? Has anyone said anything to you about anything like I just described? And oh, Lord have mercy. And for real, I would like a response, because that was and in the upcoming days and weeks, if you experience anything like that, like I've described, or anybody tell you something about it, let me know. Please let me know, because that right there was horrifying. Thank you for your time. Until next time. Bye.